It was a frigid winter night for the residents of Amethyst Tower. The occasional noise that could be heard came from the street ahead. She was 37 years old, and she no longer trusted the silence of that building. When the power went out that night, she didn't panic. Panic had belonged to the first few times. The same event was repeating itself too often to be a coincidence. Before leaving her apartment, she turned on her phone's camera, filming your journey randomly. Anything that proved there was something wrong. As the elevator descended, she filmed and thought about how to definitively solve those problems. Problems that invariably only occurred with her apartment, like sabotage. The sound of the cable supporting that metal box had never been so audible. The building was experiencing a silence that at other times had inspired peace, but that night it was synonymous with solitude and danger. She sent the first video to a friend, just a few words, then a second one. "If I take too long, something's wrong," she said to her friend. When the elevator reached the ground floor, the front desk was empty. No staff, no lights on. The place that was supposed to mean safety felt abandoned. She hesitated. She looked at her cell phone, still recording. She took a deep breath and decided to go down alone. The basement was cold, poorly lit, full of shadows that didn't move, until one of them moved toward her. That third video, the one she was recording for her friend, was never sent. Someone Else's Evil. The building where Sarah lived didn't stand out. It was modern, functional, the kind of place that promises safety in exchange for silence. A front desk, security cameras, new elevators. Everything seemed to work, at least at first glance. But that day was not an ordinary day. It was a holiday. Few residents had stayed in the city. Some had traveled. Others simply didn't leave their apartments. The hallways were emptier than usual. The building felt quieter. Sarah noticed that early in the morning. The silence wasn't just the absence of people. It was deeper than that, as if the place was on standby. She lived alone, not because she had to, but by choice. She was independent, organized, used to solving problems without asking for help. She worked with real estate. She understood layouts. She knew when something didn't make sense. And for weeks now, many things had not made sense in that building. Unexplained power outages. Internet service that failed only in Sarah's apartment. Always at night, always at the same hours. At first, she tried to rationalize it. Technical issues happen. Systems age. But the repetition started to bother her. Sarah opened service requests, registered complaints, sent messages. The answers were vague, always polite and always inconclusive. They said, "We'll look into it," or "It might be temporary." We didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Still, the problems continued, and they almost always ended the same way, with Sarah going down to the basement, the place where the electrical panels were. The area's few residents actually knew. She didn't like that space. It was cold, poorly lit, too large for so few people, but she went down anyway, because she had to, because no one else seemed to care. Over time, her conversations with the building manager became more frequent and more tense. He was excessively present. He knew too much about the residents' routines, about schedules, about who came in and who left. He spoke as if the building were an extension of himself. He didn't like being questioned. He didn't like complaints. And most of all, he didn't like Sarah. The arguments were never open, never loud. They were silent, made of stares that lasted too long. Short answers, irony disguised as courtesy. She felt it when she crossed paths with him in the hallways. She felt it when the problem started right after a disagreement. Nothing was explicit. Nothing was enough for a formal complaint, but everything was adding up. Sarah began talking about it with close friends. She said she felt watched, that something about that building was wrong. She didn't call it fear, she called it discomfort. That holiday, with the building almost empty, it felt stronger. Sarah spent the day uneasy. She walked through the apartment, making calls to the internet service, restarting the equipment. As night fell, everything got worse. The power went out again. She was no longer surprised, but she was determined to resolve things that night. Sarah left the apartment. The phone stayed in her hand, camera on, recording everything. Not because she expected something to happen, but because nothing was ever done. The hallway was empty, doors closed, lights steady. She walked toward the elevator. Inside, she met another resident, someone she had seen dozens of times. She spoke about the power cuts, the internet failures, how it only happened at night, how it always happened to her. She said she was recording everything now, just in case. He listened, nodded, said nothing. The elevator stopped on his floor. He stepped out without a word, without looking back. People tend not to get involved in these domestic disagreements. The doors closed. The elevator continued down. She watched her reflection in the metal walls, shaking, breathing. She sent the first video to her friend. "If I don't answer, something's wrong," she wrote. When the elevator reached the ground floor, the front desk was empty. No staff, no voices, no light that felt reassuring. She decided to record another video, this time with the empty entrance, and again sent it to her friend. The place meant to offer safety, offered nothing. She hesitated, looked at the phone, started a new recording. Then she made a decision. She pressed the button and entered the elevator heading to the basement. Alone, ready to fix it again and file a lawsuit the next day. Slowly, the elevator took her deeper. Only the sound of the cable supporting it could be heard. She thought that if the power cables in her apartment or the internet cables were broken, it might be damaged. She would have irrefutable proof of the persecution she was suffering. The door opened in the basement, and she left filming for the last time.
Disjuntor do 402 e a gente vai filmar. Ah, olha quem eu encontro. Acabou de perder minha energia no 402. Vamos lá. Vamos ver se essa brincadeira tá continuando. Vamos ver. Vamos achar aqui. 409, 404. Não sei se o 402 está aqui. Mas o síndico está aqui embaixo. Esse eu sei. Eu acho que o 402 fica aqui. Vamos lá, se tem menino brincando de desligar as coisas.
After going down to the basement, Sarah was missing for approximately 15 days. The following newspaper article is true and corresponds to Sarah's unexplained end. Later, the building manager would confess to the crime and show the location of the body. Sarah, fictitious name, left through the hands that should have been taking care of the residents. He lost his life because he failed to understand the magnitude of someone else's evil.